Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studio. So
Okay.
now, whether or not that'll be me that's able to fulfill that promise depends
Yeah.
on a lot of things in life. But yeah,
Oh boy. A couple of days ago, James Gunn was interviewed by a bunch of YouTubers, asked a lot of questions, and there were a lot of really good answers, a lot of good questions, and a lot of good feedback. But this clip from Boba Talks made its rounds online and people went bananas. I had been inundated with emails the last little while from you guys asking my thoughts on it. So I thought, why not? I'll just do a video. This isn't a typical video I like to do on this channel. I like to stick more to the projects themselves than this stuff that goes on that's way beyond any of our control, right? We have no control over this. I said this in another video before, but my opinion is, look, I'm enjoying what James Gunn is doing. There's some things I would change, some things I whatever. Besides, like, I'm enjoying what he's giving us. And ultimately, whoever is the head of it, as long as you continue to tell the stories and tell them in a good way, it's inconsequential to me of who is in charge of DC Studios. When it comes all down to this, is he's asked a question by Boba Talks, and he says, is there a plan beyond Man of Tomorrow? And James Gunn says, yes, it goes way beyond Man of Tomorrow. And the thing I love about James Gunn is how excited he is talking about his projects. And when I say his projects, I mean DC Studios as a whole. But he's so excited about it. How can you not feel the love he has for these characters, for the brand itself? Like, it really, really bleeds through in all of these interviews how much he loves his job and what he's doing. Now, that being said, he also, it might be taking a big toll on him, and maybe he doesn't want to do it forever. But he kind of says it's going to go on beyond Man of Tomorrow. Whether or not it's him that gets to see that to fruition is another choice. He goes a lot of life questions, and a lot of people took this as, when WB gets sold, James Gunn is out of here. Goodbye, James Gunn. You are gone. Sayonara. Bring in the Snyderverse. That's what people seem to really take from it, and it kind of blew my mind in a lot of ways because, yeah, on one hand, it does seem like he's acknowledging that the future is always in motion, right? It always is in motion, the future is, and he's acknowledging that, and it's a very valid point that he's making, that you don't know what is going to be in the future, what is going to come in the future. We just don't know, and he makes that clear here. And in other interviews prior to this, he said the toll that all of this has taken on him, his personal life, and his marriage. This has been a big undertaking, being the head of a studio, the co-head of a studio still, but it's still a massive undertaking that's been taking a lot of his time. And when he writes and directs projects, it takes even more time out of his personal life. And you all have personal lives, and you know how precious those moments are that you have, especially with your family and your friends and all of that. And when you get taken away for the amount of time that he has been, it does take a toll on it. So look, there's a few factors to discuss regarding the comment that he made. Now, one, of course, a new owner comes in, buys WB, and all of a sudden you say, okay, we don't want you anymore, James Gunn. Thank you for your services. Goodbye. I mean, yeah, sure, that's a possibility. Why not? That's not what I think is going to happen. I think even if someone came in and they weren't happy with James Gunn or the trajectory of the DCU, the DC Studios, I think they would still allow him to finish this run for a little while for a few reasons. One, his contract expires, I believe, November 1st, 2026. I've seen some people say 2027, but everything I could find shows me that it's November 1st, 2026, which then would mean he would have to do Man of Tomorrow after. I suspect that he will get a contract extension sometime around Supergirl or Lanterns. Look, if Lanterns is what we keep hearing it is, I mean, we obviously have seen nothing from this series other than that one photo, but we keep hearing from Casey Boyles over at HBO that this is going to be like Penguin level quality. This is going to be up for Emmy Awards and big awards, Golden Globes, things like that. Then you look at James Gunn, you're like, well, he spearheaded this, right? Like, he was, I mean, obviously he didn't write and direct it, but he oversaw it. He's the one that approved it. He greenlit it. He helped shape the direction of it. And if Supergirl comes out, and by all accounts, we're hearing that this is an extraordinary film as well, and if that thing blows up, that's James Gunn again. So I do think there's a possibility, a very high possibility, that he will be renewed next summer. But that remains to be seen. We know Man of Tomorrow is 2027. That's still going to go into production no matter what. Like, that's in next spring. They're not going to come in and just cancel everything out, because what people seem to just not think of, I don't know why they don't think of it, especially the way Zaslav has been handling things the last few years, is this is just a business. Everything about Warner Brothers is a massive business. So that being said, if you're running a business and you have DC Studios, which, kind of just existed, but before DC was a DCEU and it was kind of meh, but now you have a group of people who have come in and they've kind of got a stranglehold of it. And you have Superman, which made $615 million worldwide, which, you know what? It's not a billion. Okay, sure. But the market that we're in now, superhero movies just aren't what they used to be. There is superhero fatigue. It's a real thing. People aren't going. Streaming is crushing everything. And thing comes out. It came out a month after, so they can make room for Peacemaker, which, whether that was the right choice, I don't know. But it made more money than the other superhero movies that came out this year. So right there, you have the number one superhero movie of the year in Superman. Peacemaker saw a 22% increase on the premiere. That is massive as well. The ending, sure, the last episode didn't do too well. The rating is very low on IMDb. It's the lowest rated one. It's like 6.7 or 6.9 or something on IMDb. It's low, but do you base a whole season of a show on one episode? Now, it's not for everybody. Again, this show started with a guy doing cocaine and having an orgy. That show wasn't for everybody. It was never going to be for everybody, but it got excitement. And the bottom line is, like that last episode or not, and like the season or not, we're talking about it. People are still talking about it to this day, which is a lot better than if we just forgot about it. There are other series that I'm not going to mention that have come and gone and we just don't talk about anymore. I could do a Peacemaker video and have a big comment section fill up and have great conversations with you guys. I could do a video on some other stuff and I just won't see anything. There's no hype. So people are still invested and intrigued in Peacemaker. And also with the DCU, people come onto the channel. They're like, I won't watch James Gunn stuff. And then they come on and they complain about what James Gunn did. So they are watching it. People are invested in these stories. Whether they're hate watching or not, people are invested. And so someone's going to come in and they're going to see the success of Superman, the success of Peacemaker, and Creature Commandos is Creature Commandos. It is what it is. It did pretty well for them, I believe. But they're going to look at this. They're going to see his game plan. Obviously, that's going to be presented to whoever the new owners are. They're going to see it, and they're not just going to scrap it. They're not going to scrap it. And if they did scrap it, I think, putting DC fans and viewers through the ringer again, recasting all these characters starting from scratch, I think it's a mistake. I think what you could do is you could remove James Gunn and have somebody else fulfill that storyline through. You keep the actors that you have. But then, who knows? Do you get somebody as good as somebody? Like, you don't know how that's going to go, right? So right now, James Gunn has a good thing going. The things that have been successful, the Rotten Tomato scores would show you and prove that he's being successful right now. And then you have Lantern, Supergirl, and then Clayface coming out next year, which are, they're big question marks how they're going to be. I think he'll be re-upped. We've got until November 2026. I think they'd keep him in his contract. Why pay him off until then anyway? The question is, does he even want this job? Like I said, this is taxing on him. Does he still want it going forward beyond 2026, beyond 2027? I think he probably does. I think he loves these characters enough that he wants to see this story through. I think he's got at least a 10-year plan. I think he said in the past. I think he gets that 10-year plan going. I think after the 10 years, maybe that's when he says, you know what, I'm good. I'll focus on some other stuff, focus on my family, some smaller films, whatever. Maybe he does that. You never know what's going to happen, obviously, when somebody comes in. So there is the possibility. And I think he knows that possibility, but he also knows the weight of it. But in that clip itself, I think he's more referring to a lot of whether or not he's the one that's going to end up directing it. I think he knows the future. He might not have it all. He might just kind of oversee some things and let somebody else come in and tell those stories. I think he's going to be around for a little while. There's so much negativity and discourse on social media regarding James Gunn. And this goes for like so many different IPs. But the bottom line is, you come in and you reboot an entire franchise IP that was just rebooted. You're going to tick people off, and people are going to be really tired of it. Very tired of it. And I don't think they're going to cancel the Batman Part 2, and which he has a hand in that. He's the co-head of the studio on that. He's going over the script with Matt Reeves, fleshing that out, making sure that is as strong as it can be. And I don't think he's James Gunnifying the Batman 2 script. I don't think he James Gunnified Lanterns. I think they pitched a Lantern show and he said, okay, it needs to fit into this narrative. And they fit it in that narrative. I think that's as far as his impact is on it. Other than, I do think James Gunn knows a good script versus a bad script. I do. And that doesn't mean it's a James Gunn jokey script, and that doesn't mean it's a Matt Reeves epic crime saga script. I think he just knows. He's been in the business forever. I think he knows how to tell a good script from a bad script, and I think his goal right now is to make these scripts strong, to say, hey, we got a strong script here. Let's make sure the movie lives up to the potential of the script. And anyone coming in, they're going to have a long conversation with them. and they're going to decide whether or not they're going to keep him. And that's obviously going to weigh on him, but the amount of work is also what's weighing on him. And I think mountains are being made out of molehills of this little clip here. I think, look, anything is up in the air, but the idea that they're just going to kibosh the DCU, whoever comes in and buys it, just going to kibosh it, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's a lot of people who just don't like what they've gotten so far, just having, just wishful thinking on their parts. And look, if you haven't liked James Gunn's DCU, that is completely fair. But we're only 3 projects in, 1 movie, 1 live action show, and 1 animated series. Like, there's not much of a sample size there, right? So let's wait till Lantern, Supergirl, Clayface. Let's see what's really going on here. And then, of course, the Salvation storyline, Batman, Wonder Woman. What is really happening with his DCU? Where does the Gods and Monsters storyline go from here? How does this chapter end? And I think somebody coming in is going to at least allow that chapter to conclude, whether they let it go 10 years or 5 years or 7 years from now. That all remains to be seen. But I think whoever comes in will allow that chapter to end, and maybe even allow the certain cast members to expand and live on beyond that one, because rebooting is exhausting. Fans don't like it. They're not going to show up to the theater. They're going to lose faith in your brand, and you're not going to spend a lot of money on something and just kind of smother it like that. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Hit the like button, subscribe button. Until next time, may you be the master of your own universe.